Are we good?
We're good?
Let's do it.
Right. Are you all set?
I was born ready.
Excellent. Right then, okay. So my teeth are really big whenever I do these things. Okie dokie. So, we've
I'm not rustling.
I'm wearing the rustliest shirt,
I know.
you can
I've
imagine.
got my rubber shirt on.
Okay. Hey there, creative minds and business enthusiasts. Welcome to Looks Like We Made It, the podcast where we dive deep into the dynamic world of video marketing. Let me finish it. Content creation and all things creative. I'm Izzy, your guide through this creative journey, wearing two hats, head of production and senior video editor. But I'm not in this alone. Meet the other half of our dynamic duo, my dad, Chris, our director and the creative genius behind Howell Media and Howell Training. Together, we're not just a podcast, we're a father-daughter team on a mission to bring you insights, tips and laughs from the heart of the creative industry. Whether you're a business looking to up your video game or a budding creative hungry for knowledge, this is the place to be. We've got real life experiences, expert advice and a sprinkle of anecdotes to keep things interesting. So if you're ready to unlock the power of video, bespoke content and training to achieve amazing results, you're in the right spot. Fasten your seatbelts because this is Looks Like We Made It, where we turn creativity into success, one episode at a time. Whew, I had one slip up there, but I'm nervous because we have a guest. So. But yes, so today we are joined by Paul Lancaster. Hello, Paul.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, it's been lovely to have you.
Brilliant to have you on the show.
Yes, so how have we all been? Are we all good?
We're all good.
Excellent.
Very good, yeah. Lovely, enjoyable drive down from Sunderland this morning.
Fabulous. That's nice.
And did you find us all right?
No, I did. I got here no problem until the final. Was it the final mile? That's what they say. You know, I just got a bit lost in the estate, the business park.
We like to keep it busy just at the end. We want to keep you on your toes. But no, it's great to have you here. And I think we've been keen to get you on because we've got loads to be going through. Yeah. And I think you are the expert to be talking to.
A genuine mover and shaker.
A genuine mover and shaker.
Thank you very much. I'll try
to
live up. Try to live up to expectations. Thank you.
But so tell us a bit about yourself, Paul.
Oh, okay. So 25 years or so, I've worked in the business startup and scale-up world, worked for local enterprise agencies, youth enterprise schemes, worked for the government for a little while, worked for corporates like Sage and British Airways, not-for-profits, and had my own business since 2016. But the whole thing's been about helping people start and grow businesses and signposting and matchmaking and helping people fulfill their potential.
Fab, and that gets us on really nicely to our question, which is why is the Northeast a great place for startup businesses, and is the entrepreneurial spirit alive and well? So I think that's going to be
pretty big question.
Big questions.
I kind of sandwiches two questions in together there, but because we fly the flag for Northeast businesses quite a lot, we're proud to be a Northeast business ourselves.
Yeah.
And Startup Week is something that you are flying the flag for.
Yeah. So when like I say, I've been in various different roles where I've been helping people start and grow their own business. And I thought, particularly the northeast of England, I thought there's so many good things going on, but people still don't know where to go for the best help and advice. So I thought, well, wouldn't it be good if there was a big event that pulled it all together? And I was asking other people to do these events and no one wanted to do it. So I just thought, well, I'll just do it then.
Just do it yourself.
Oh, yeah.
So I created the first 5-day multi-venue Newcastle Startup Week Festival in 2017. And had just over 600 people there. Did it again the following year, another 600, and then the third year had just over 800 people there. And then the lockdown happened, so I'm gearing up to do another one next June, but I'm going to do it in Sunderland, not Newcastle.
Cool.
Because I've never just wanted to focus on Newcastle. It was always about the whole of the northeast. But I think there's, particularly, which we'll talk about, I think there's a lot of very exciting things happening in Sunderland. Yes. And I think it needs a big event to bring it all together and shine a light on it.
Absolutely, yeah. And
Are you getting a good sort of feedback from the sort of business community in Sunderland? Is what you're proposing sort of, or what you're doing, not even proposing, what you're actually going ahead and doing, is it being well supported?
So I'm from Gateshead, which is seen as neutral. I'm like in between Newcastle and Sunderland, right? So I'll get that in first, right? But most of my jobs over the years have been based in Gateshead or Newcastle, and there is deep-rooted rivalry between different towns and cities in the northeast and the north of England. It's not just one homogenous area. So on the one hand, I want to promote the whole of the northeast, but it is important to people locally to have something happening in their town or city. So I thought, right, okay, and people definitely really like it that I'm now doing these events over there. And since January, I've been doing a monthly event as well called Platform in Newcastle and Sunderland. And what's really nice is this didn't really happen pre-lockdown, but people are moving between the cities. I'm getting people from Newcastle come to Sunderland. I'm getting Sunderland to Newcastle and further afield as well across the whole of the northeast and further afield like Carlisle and Yorkshire. People are travelling to these areas, and that's what I try to do, try create opportunities and literal platforms for people to get together. And
what sort of age range of people are coming to these events?
The events, I mean, it does well. Okay, so the platform events, the youngest I had 2 young lads who were 16 who came along from Newcastle to Sunderland, which is great. They just found this event on Eventbrite. They came along, and it was, bless them, like everyone was doing a bit of networking at the start. They weren't. They were just like sat on their own. So I was like, "Oh, how are you doing? Why are you here?" And they told me they just set up this new web development agency. So I told them the format, got them, like, introduced them to a few people. And then the platform events always have a section where I call it a show and tell. So I always ask 2 or 3 businesses to get up and talk about themselves. And I had a little bit of space, and I was like, does anyone else want to do it? And no one wanted to, right? And then we had a break. And during the break, they said, can we do it? And I was like, yeah, no bother. Great. So they got up, and they were absolutely amazing. So anyway, so 16-year-olds, probably the youngest. Although I did have some college kids as well, came to the start of week events as well, all the way up to people in the 70s, 80s,
That's amazing. I think that's that entrepreneurial spirit, I think. And that's when, because we've discussed entrepreneurialness. We've discussed the experience of being entrepreneurial. And I suppose the thing that, the main kind of thing when I think about that is, are you born to be an entrepreneur, or is it something that you learn? Is it something that, so people who are 16, are some people just destined to run businesses and some people just aren't? Is that kind of what we think?
I think it's interesting as well, because we were, I was filming at an event where Sarah Davis was talking recently, and she was talking about how her parents owned a business but would never consider themselves to be entrepreneurs or entrepreneurial. They were just, I think she said, my mum and dad owned a business. But I think we're, the term is perhaps a bit more baked in now, but I've made no secret of the fact that I admire anybody that's got the bottle to have it to give it a go. I think that there are a lot of holes in the road and landmines, aren't there, in the process. And I think the work that you do, Paul, I think is incredible. That you're a bit of a guiding light and a bit of a kind of beacon. That's good. That's good for Sunderland.
That's good.
Do you know what I mean? I think that, as you say, that the defining entrepreneurialism, you can perhaps go down a rabbit hole. But
that's it. I think being entrepreneurial is, it's more of a lifestyle, I think, than having a job. And I think that transition, particularly when people go from maybe a corporate world to being an entrepreneur, but there was a word that I learned recently, so I obviously can't get through a podcast episode without mentioning the fact I'm a mum with a daughter and whatever, but
that's a different podcast, isn't it?
That is but the term mumpreneur is very in at the minute, and it's used to describe mothers who run businesses, but then part of me thinks, does running a business make you an entrepreneur?
Big questions. I think you can learn, you can become entrepreneurial. I don't have anyone in my family or friends who ran their own businesses when I started my own, but I've moved into roles, I've moved into jobs where I've been hanging out with entrepreneurs and business owners, and then you get the bug from doing that, because you go into the events, you're hanging out with these people, you're reading the books, you're watching the videos, stuff like that, podcasts, you listen to all that. So I think I would say I've always been creative from a very young age, and I think being entrepreneurial or running your own business is a very creative thing to do.
Yeah.
Because you're always looking for opportunities, spotting opportunities, and trying to move into that space. So that's what I think. Yeah. And definitely with the events that I'm running, I'm trying to help people become more entrepreneurial and learn how to do this. And I was probably an intrapreneur before an entrepreneur. There's a new word for you there.
Okay.
So when I was working for, I mentioned before, I used to work for Sage. I used to do inbound marketing, content marketing for Sage, and I was definitely an intrapreneur there. They brought me in to be disruptive and be a bit of a troublemaker, I suppose.
Yeah.
They're like, look, because Sage is a huge company, FTSE 100 company, very, very successful, but they relied very much on existing clients and customers, or a reseller network of accountants, and they were good at upselling and cross-selling, but they were struggling to acquire new customers. So they brought me and a few other people in to go like pure new customer acquisition. And my role was top of the funnel, anything and everything to get people onto the website, signing up for a trial, downloading a guide, watching a video, social media, anything to just get people into the into their network. But when I joined, that was really exciting for me because I was already reading all the books and going to all the events and all that sort of stuff, and looking for an opportunity to do that. But the senior leaders at Sage were like, we want to be more disruptive, we want to shake the tree, we want to do all this. And you had the people sort of at the lower end of the business who wanted these new products and services to be successful. And I found the middle management where they were trying to slow us down. Okay. And that was really interesting, that I came in and was like, right, I'm going to give you what you want. I'm just going to be really like innovative and disruptive, and I'm going to take some of the things I've learned from the books and all the events and all this stuff, and I'm going to try and apply it in this huge company.
I've never heard the term intrapreneur. Like, defining that, is that someone who does almost like an entrepreneurial thing within a business?
That'll be mine.
Yeah, and a lot of businesses want that. You know, they want people who can be really innovative and creative and come up with new ways of doing things. The trick and the hard thing is to do it without breaking the existing business too much. You've got to break it a little bit, or you've got to like bend the rules a little bit. But yeah, we I suppose we had the backing of the senior people, so we could always say, look, CEO said he wants us to do this, so like just back off a little bit because we're doing it and we can show the stats that it was working. But definitely some of the middle management, it was just like, this isn't the way we do things around here. I don't like it, and it's like, well, tough. It's working.
Gosh, so in terms of the being an intrapreneur, did you, in terms of I can't get my words out today. God, in terms of transitioning between being an intrapreneur and an entrepreneur, which one have you learned the most from? I suppose, which one do you identify with more?
More being an entrepreneur, like do my own thing. But no, I'd love the freedom to experiment and just try new things and be creative. So be your own boss and master of your own destiny, all that sort of stuff. But still, I think it was a really good experience because I know how to, like, how far it can go. Like, I know where the lines are. And
I think that's important as well to have, because as somebody who is also creative and you know, I suppose I am an entrepreneur.
An award-winning entrepreneur.
I am an award-winning entrepreneur. But it's almost like if you don't have any self-imposed barriers, you're almost like just a firework, just going off left, right, and centre. And I think that in my career, almost like reining myself in has been one of the hardest things that I could start a new business every week. I have a new idea, a new invention. You know, most of them are absolutely rubbish, but I have new things all the time. You know, and you know, almost like I'm like, I don't know. There's like a nickname, isn't there? Like, you know, the human cushion. Like, you know, the last person that sat on you just left an impression. You know, it's almost like I'm a very, you know, I seek that innovation all the time, and I think that having a framework and the fact that it's great to be an ideas person, but you're also running a business, and there's some quite kind of grown up things around running a business, like, I don't know, tax, law, employment,
all the
boring stuff. And I think that is something that a lot of creative entrepreneurial types do struggle with, that you can be, as I say, a super free spirit, but you've got to have some sort of
Yeah, because I think
frame.
the first thing that I've spoken to a few people who've set up businesses or have been in that kind of small business world, is that say you're really passionate about a particular product or creating a product, you're actually spending more time not doing that, I think, sometimes than actually doing the thing. So yes, we're a media production company, but sometimes there might be whole days where we don't do any of the media production element. We're doing internal stuff, the sort of the more boring things, if you will.
There are a lot of pieces to a business. I think that's one thing that I would have definitely learned, and I would definitely share with people that were starting a business, is that the thing, I think it's what you were getting at, the thing you do that pays the bills is actually often quite a minor part. It's the exciting bit, and it's the bit that pushes all the right buttons, but ultimately it's not what you do all day every day. I suppose it's a bit like, I don't know, anything like, I don't know, if you're a Formula One driver, you're actually only driving a Formula One car 20 odd times a year for a couple of hours. The rest of the year you're still a Formula One driver, but you've got a whole load of other commitments that isn't doing that.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think that applies in business.
Oh, I like it.
Do you like that?
Yeah. No, I think that's really interesting. And in terms of obviously being from the Northeast, that you are, I'm pointing to our listeners that are not visual people. I am pointing at Paul, because I'm pointing at Paul because you are from the Northeast. We aren't, but we're proud to represent the Northeast. In terms of that as a location for being entrepreneurial, I always think sometimes the Northeast spirit and the entrepreneurial spirit are very similar. There's a lot of kind of enthusiasm, there's a lot of drive, there's a lot of community. How do you see the future, I suppose, of being an entrepreneur in the Northeast? Why is that such an important place to be?
I suppose, well, that's my home, obviously, so I want it to do well, but when I left Sage, I got a job working for the government for an organisation called Tech Nation, which there's an organisation called Tech City, which was originally set up just to promote London as the best place to start and go a tech business. And then they created a sister organisation called Tech North. So I joined that. I was one of the original people in that team, and that was all about promoting the whole of the North as a great place to start and go a tech or digital business. And it was loosely connected to the Northern Powerhouse. Right, which most people hate the phrase the Northern Powerhouse. They like the ideas behind it, more autonomy and more decision-making powers, but they hate the idea of just being one homogenous mass. But what I did find was I loved that because it was going out and about across Liverpool, Manchester, Leeds, Sheffield, Hull, Sunderland, Newcastle, and trying to connect the cities, encourage more collaboration within cities and between cities, and try to sort of encourage more entrepreneurial activity and connect it to London and elsewhere, but at the same time understand what was unique about each of those areas. And what I could see was, despite all that effort to promote all of the North equally, Manchester and the Northwest was sort of steaming ahead. And it was becoming seen as, well, Manchester's the London of the North, and a lot of focus and lots of money was going there, and Newcastle in the Northeast was being at risk of being left behind. Even Leeds and Yorkshire wasn't doing as well as Manchester. So I got the opportunity. Well, my initial contract came to an end. They asked me to stay, but I thought, no, this is the time I'm going to leave and start my own business. So since then, my whole focus has been on the Northeast and try to shine a light on all the good stuff and encourage, well, do all the things I was doing before, but just for the Northeast. But I've lost track of what I was saying. But I think I think the Northeast. Yeah, there's lots of good places all over the UK, but I think the Northeast, it is a very well connected or easy to connect place. It's a sweeping statement. People are generally very friendly and very supportive, and it is quite easy to get an introduction to someone. And so I think I've personally found it very easy to make things happen. And when you're doing something interesting and you're doing it for the right reasons, and people like that, and they do warm to you and get behind you.
I think that's a really valid point, because I mean, obviously we do fly the flag, although being, we're based in Barnard Castle, so we're sort of a bit of an outlet.
Right on the edge, aren't you? Right on the cusp.
Very edge. However, we're a proud northern business and a northeast business, and we've got a lot of customers in Newcastle and hopefully in Sunderland soon, and so we are very visible in the northeast. One thing I would say is that over the years we've had businesses in and around London, the southeast, even abroad. And what is unique, I think, since we've been operating principally from here, is this is the only place I've ever been where your competitors are supportive. There are times you say, I don't know, it's something as basic as if we were on a shoot. I don't want to be sort of sweeping about our colleagues down in London or whatever, but no one's going to fall over themselves to help you out. Here, it's kind of I still find it quite weird at times that the managing directors from other media companies or whatever would make contact, or we've been at shoots where guys have got camera equipment that's broken or forgotten batteries or whatever, and everybody mucks in, and I think that's something that you don't encounter everywhere.
It's like we're not really competitors, and more allies, I think sometimes.
Oh yeah, it's everybody's, and I think though, because I think it's not easy. It's not being in business is not easy. Well, that's not my experience anyway. But so I think there's almost like a camaraderie. I think there's almost like, but I genuinely feel that our competition don't want to see us fail, and I feel exactly the same way about them.
Yeah, totally.
And that's kind of refreshing.
Well, we're all on the same mission. I think that because I moved to the northeast 10 years ago, and I think that in that time, I've sort of seen different parts of the digital industry and the creative industry, and everyone sort of says that yes, with the influx of sort of students and more university impact and stuff, it's probably having an impact on people being entrepreneurial and getting into the creative industry and stuff. But I think there is definitely, since maybe obviously with the decline of industries like the shipping industry and with mining, etc., is that it really has kind of made quite a bold comeback in the creative world and the digital world. And I think it's exciting that we've been kind of seeing that happen. And I think with startups nowadays, are the people, particularly the types of people who attend these events, are they from generally any kind of particular industry, or are they from all walks of life?
So my monthly events do tend to have a bit more of a tech, digital, creative slant, and that's probably because that's my background and my interests. But everything now is tech enabled or digital, got some digital element to it. But the Startup Week events are for anyone of any sector can come along to them, because it's over 5 days. I cover 5 different themes. So the first day is what I call Inspiration Day. So that's all about celebrating local success stories of the past, present and future of the Northeast, and shine a light on what's happening, and also saying why the Northeast of England is such a great place to start or grow a business or expand into, as well as to live. And then day 2 is more, it's getting started. So that's like how do you bring your ideas to life, like pre-start, idea stage. The third day is funding and finance. So that's anyone of any stage wants to know about grants and loans and crowdfunding and angel investment and venture capital. And then the fourth day is growing and scaling. So sales, marketing, business development, leadership, mindset, partnership, building a team, national expansion, international expansion. And then the final day, keep going or pivot, is how do you keep going? Do you keep going? How do you know when to stop and change direction? Resilience, mindset, that sort of thing. So I think that I came up with that because from all the experience I've had, I think those 5 stages, every new business or every new product or service has to go through that. So the idea is that you'll learn in 5 days what it would probably take you 5 months or maybe 5 years to learn.
Wow.
But just put it all in one place.
That's
it's great. It's also, if you've got 500 people plus in a space, there's a great networking opportunity there. There's a great there's a great sort of vibe, a great synergy, I imagine.
Yeah, it makes it feel more achievable as well. Like I mentioned before, I didn't have anyone in my friends or family who ran their own business. But like if you're in a room full of, like let's say 500 plus, 600 plus people who are all enthusiastic about entrepreneurship,
and it proves it can be done. It proves that you're not just shouting into the forest, and you actually there's a method there, and that actually it can come to fruition.
Yeah, exactly. And I did, after the last event, I did get an impact report done with Newcastle University, so they did some research with me, and I was really, really happy to see the stats, which showed, I think it was like 75% of people said they felt like the northeast of England was a more positive place to start and grow a business. And as a result of coming to the events, and so I'm
That's really
I suppose
exciting.
we also can't let slip the fact that the obviously the film studio
exactly.
to Sunderland, which is extraordinary. I think that's something that's obviously on our radar because we're in the industry. So I think that's an incredible thing.
So if you can talk about it as well, but if people don't know, there's a film studio, Crownwork Studios, being built in Sunderland, and it's not just a film studio; it's a whole supply chain that they.
It's like a full ecosystem, which is superb.
And I think they've done that really well in that they've got buy-in from the colleges, the universities, local suppliers, and the whole political and business community are behind this, because it's not just good for Sunderland, it's good for the whole of the northeast and further afield to have something like that there.
Yeah, it's really cool. And I think in terms of how do the people of Sunderland feel about it? Because it's obviously been talked about for a very long time. I think it's sort of been in the background.
Yeah.
Has there been general sort of a
Yes,
positive response?
yeah, oh yeah, people are really excited. The only thing I would say is, again, it goes back to that, when you're in that world and you're looking for things like that, you know about it, but there's still a lot of people who don't even know what's happening in the Sunderland area or further afield, and it's like, how do you not know that this huge thing, it's been on all the news, it's in all the papers, it's online, it's all over social media, but people still don't know about it.
And it also can affect them. I think there's also I think the challenge is going to be around. People go, oh well, they're building a film studio. Well, I don't know anything about film, so how can it affect me? Oh, that's obviously, it's a good thing because it creates some employment, but I don't think a lot of people realise that you can have a really successful career in that industry anyway in the area, but also there's so many spin-off. Every film set needs security and catering and logistics, electricians, joiners, taxi drivers. I mean, we do a thing when we talk about what goes into a production. Maybe I don't know if we're filming a TV advert as an example. The people with the camera and the talent in front of the camera is only a tiny part of it. It's such a big, there are so many things to factor in. And I think if that message gets spread far and wide, that the ripple effect and the kind of like the benefit to the community, and beyond, I think that's the key. That's the key message there.
Yeah, and I think as well that because I used to work with quite a lot of young people, particularly from areas that were on the postcodes that these kids were living in the northeast were statistically less likely to go to university and go into higher education. And I would go in and sort of be that person who would encourage them and kind of get them excited about the different opportunities because they weren't aware of these sorts of things that were happening. And a lot of young people as well, particularly that kind of the generation that's been affected by the pandemic as well in education, is that when we've worked with young people in the past as well, a lot of them, you can see elements of the fact that they could be entrepreneurial, they could run businesses, they could be doing these things, and they could be in the film industry, but they just haven't had the person or the thing to tell them that is something that they could do and that is something that they can explore. And I think that's going to be really exciting, is hopefully the film studios being present will kind of encourage people to explore that a little bit more.
I suppose it works the other way as well. You might get someone that actually at the end of it says, well, this isn't for me. Now I've seen how much is involved, how much hard work's involved, how much that actually this upon reflection, this isn't my gig after all.
Don't say that now.
No, but what I mean, I'm a lifer. I'm in for life.
This isn't your quitting video.
No, this is not my quitting. This is
Okay,
not my
good.
quitting video. But you know what I'm saying? So it works both ways, doesn't it? I don't know if that's something if it's relevant or not. But I think that you when you're presented with all the information, you might go, perhaps not, or not for me right now.
Yeah, it's too late now. You're in it now.
Yeah,
You've been in it long enough. But I think, go for it.
Got a responsibility to talk about these things, not just the careers advisors or the teachers or the, but even if you're not in that industry, if you're a parent or a guardian or anyone who's listening to this, like tell people that this thing is happening and it's around there and there's a potential opportunity there if you want it.
And you don't know who's going to inspire. And I think that's before I get on to my last question, which isn't too silly. 'Cause I think I went less silly than I normally save the really silly ones for you, but I tried to be a bit more professional.
A bit more grown up.
Because we've got a VIP, a very important Paul, as I've been saying. But my question is, what are your top tips for anyone looking to start a business? So obviously that's quite a big question, but what are the main ones that when you see different startups or you see people wanting to kind of get into that world, what would your advice be?
I would say, obviously I'm biased, but I would get to some events, like find, tap into the pre-existing networks and don't try and do it all on your own, because people are generally very happy to help and support and signpost, and my monthly events are free to attend. I share a lot of content online as well, like all day, every day. I'm not just sharing my content, I'm sharing other people's content, and I think I'm very good at signposting interesting, useful things, like online and at the events as well. So yeah, that's a key thing, I think. Like, try and build up your network. Totally. Listen to podcasts like this, obviously. Don't be shy. Like shy Ben's getting out,
Yeah, I feel like we need that in a big sign in the office.
Yeah.
But how about you? What's your?
I'll probably echo what Paul said. To be honest, I think that ask questions, and you'd be surprised at how giving some people are. I think that if you honestly, because we get it, we get people contact us, people contact me, and they and I think it's. I never shut up, so I'm always happy. I'm always happy to.
Well, I'm not going to cut you off.
To give support. So I'd echo what Paul said. Get out there and see what it's all about. Yeah,
and I did to kind of plug as well, because Sarah Davies, who is another sort of Northeast advocate that you worked with recently, she's got that 6-minute entrepreneur, I think it is, on YouTube. I've just watched a few of them and they're really good, so definitely worth a watch. But Paul, where can our audience find you? Plug whatever you want.
Oh, I'm easy to find. So I'm Lord Lancaster everywhere.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, so on
my lord, I didn't realise you were in presence.
Not a real lord, but so Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. LinkedIn's where I share most of my content, I suppose, but Instagram, YouTube as well. Like, basically, it's either Lord Lancaster for me or UK Startup Week. For the business, for the organisation. I'm sharing content on everywhere.
And when is Startup Week in next year, is it?
Yes, so it's June 2nd to the 6th of June next year. So tickets are on sale now. Early bird tickets, £100 for 5-day wristband.
Wow, that's amazing.
So that's exciting. Obviously, great if people can buy tickets now. The sooner the better. Then it takes the stress away from me,
Yeah.
Is that that's a roving format, is it, venue-wise, or is that the...
So the way it works is, over the 5 days, it's 5 different venues. Well, each day has different venues, probably 2 or 3 venues each day. But the main event on day 1 will be at the fire station, which I took to.
Space,
amazing theatre in the heart of Sunderland, and then different locations in and around the Sunderland city centre across the rest of the week. And the monthly events that are on platform, they take place at the Beacon of Light in Sunderland, which is right next to the football ground, or the Crown Plaza hotel behind the train station in Newcastle. It's all on Eventbrite. But if people want to find it, probably the easiest way to find it, if they go to ukstartupweek.com, everything's on there. Or on Eventbrite, it's ukstartupweek.eventbrite.com.
Love
Excellent.
it.
That's
awesome.
Pretty good for being put on the spot.
I was going to say,
pretty good.
I can barely remember the intro, let alone that sort of
Super.
info. So that's brilliant. So my question, the last question I have.
This
is the one I always build up to, and often I don't think about it very much.
It's not a silly one, though, is it?
It's not that, so we can make it silly if you want.
No, go on, let's do this.
So what is your favourite album?
Pressure.
I know I was going to say pressure. No.
Could you? Well, can it be a series?
I think I need 2. I think I need 2.
Well, how many you want to add? I mean, preferably limited to 3. But it was because I was driving and listening to the radio the other day, and they were talking about favourite albums, and I was thinking about mine. I thought it would be a good thing to talk about.
You must have one in mind. What's yours?
Well, mine, to kick us off, I guess. Mine is the Black Album by Metallica.
Oh,
which is a bold one. It's not
good.
exactly...
Bold choice, yeah.
But it's because I remember when I've got
But this
my...
is the only album you can listen to for the rest of your life. This is it.
No, it's not. Desert Island Discs.
Oh, it's not Desert Island Discs.
No, it's just your favourite album.
Oh, right, okay.
You're listening to the wrong show. No, so that is because really when I first got my VW Fox, my little yellow Freddy Fox, old
Where's
car.
this going?
No, it was the
You had a
first...
record player in your car.
It was the sound was beautiful. No,
Is this cassette or CD?
It was CD, but
Do you know what a cassette is?
yes, I do. I'm not that old. I'm not that young. No, but mine was. I bought the Black Album as my first album that I had in my car, and it really reminds me of that.
Good album. Good album. Yeah.
Well, when I was painting my kitchen,
Which you have the 90th, 100th
yes,
time.
when we finally arrived on a colour 6 times in, I listened to Jeff Wayne's War of the Worlds, and I thought this is pretty good.
There's a lot of synth though.
Yeah. So it's not my favourite album, but it's in my mind because it was in kitchen painting.
No, he said.
Did it make it go faster or not?
Well,
have you got flourishes everywhere?
Yes,
So really,
Painted to the beat.
well, I think the walls are like an inch smaller than they were, or I think
Chris's kitchen's bouncy.
Yeah, I
'cause
think
it's that
there's so
painted.
much paint on the walls, it's ridiculous. But
What shade are you going for next week?
yeah, so maybe that for now for me.
Okay, nice.
Right,
Oh,
okay.
cool. What do you
I
think?
think mine's probably the Stone Roses, the first album, just because,
Nice.
like, still to this day, I just love that album. I never get bored of listening to it. Yeah. So I think I was only 11 when it came out, but that's a very important age, I think, when you're really
Yeah.
into music.
Yeah.
And I definitely was. I was like the kid at school who had records before anyone else and encyclopedic knowledge of bands and producers and labels and stuff like that. But that album, to me, is still the one.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
If it wasn't for royalty issues, we could put that on as the
Yeah.
background.
Yeah, if any,
but we probably couldn't afford it.
I was going to say, I can certainly try.
What's nice is that my son's 15. He's into that as well, and
Yeah.
he's like, I haven't forced that into him. I do listen to a lot of music, and he's picked up some of my musical taste, but he's educating me on music as well. And what's nice is he'll listen to us and I'll say, "Oh, that sounds a bit like this," and then we'll have a bit of a back-to-back sort of.
Nice.
Many years ago, I used to be a DJ, so that
so
appeals
did
as
you?
well.
Well,
I feel like I'm surrounded by DJs, but that's amazing. Wow. So I think, I spent a lot of my childhood in mosh pits and crowds and stuff thanks to you. So I definitely think it does carry the musical taste through the generations.
When I grew up, my mother is a bit of a rocker,
Oh, okay, love it.
and my sister is into rock, and most of her boyfriends have been really into rock and heavy metal. So I grew up listening to a lot of heavy metal and rock, but also being really into like indie and electronic music.
Yeah.
So I
good
love
to have a
bands that
mix.
have, and Stone Roses are quite sort of, well, it's indie rock, but it's sort of dancey as well at the same time. I think that's why I like that.
you can cut this out actually, but I'm going to finish. I'm
I'm
going to
not
finish
cutting it out.
with a funny little story that. So I took my son to a heavy metal concert recently, and it was men of a certain age, shall we say. And he said that the audience was basically like one giant Where's Wally sketch, because in a sense he said he could have gone home with any bald, overweight, middle-aged man he fancied, because basically it was literally like the final.
Was it like coming home? And
It was literally like a room full of lookalikes.
Chris
It's
returned
called
to the mothership,
It
didn't
was
you?
called.
Do you used to have long hair?
Oh yes.
Oh, don't get him started.
Oh, yeah.
I used to have the curtains,
Oh, did you? The whole curtains thing. Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
longish.
Oh, I feel like you both should have brought
My son's got long hair now.
Does he?
He's very cool. He's got the hair that I wanted.
Yeah.
Well, you've both committed to the long hair. But yes, well, thank
Well,
you so
thank you,
much,
yeah.
Paul. That was
Brilliant.
brilliant. I really
Thank
enjoyed
you.
that. And you can listen to us every other Tuesday. And I'm rubbish at these outros, but you can find us on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. And that's it for now. So, see you later.
Thank you very
Bye.
much. Thank you.